Hello there, gentle people, and welcome to the It's Not Always Dark podcast, starring me, your host, Kieran.
And me, Erin.
We're both hosts. I'm not the only host. I don't know why I decided to announce myself as the host, but it's a double act.
She's a co-host.
You could never be downgraded in my eyes, darling. You could only go up from the top.
Oh,
Isn't that what they say? You can only go up further from the top when you're at the top.
I mean, some would say that you can only go down once you're at the top. So, like, we're happily bopping to the top.
we're gonna bop. Oh, wait, copyright.
As if we're that important.
Very that part. No, we are, though. Did you not
We are.
hear the cease and desist Disney sent us for just humming one of their bars of music last episode?
True.
Anyway,
Facts.
so, welcome. Today, we are going over a topic I would say quite near and dear to our souls.
I'm very
childhood.
excited about this. Yeah.
I'm very excited about it too. I think that childhood, just when I look at it as a whole, I think, wow, what a time to be alive.
Honestly, I think we all need a bit more of that. Especially now that we're back in lockdown.
Oh, 100%. Aren't we just loving this? This isolation from the world? Because I'm finding it great.
I think I'm actually just reverting. Like, I'm actually re-accessing childhood.
Do you know what? That could be a benefit of this, though. Spending a lot of time just by yourself is giving you a lot of opportunity to reminisce and catch up on the things that you maybe didn't have.
Yeah, it's like the plot of Mary Poppins. Like, I've been Mr. Banks this whole time.
Okay,
like, I've been
yes.
I had my head too far in the game. I was too focused on money, on
on the
life.
bands.
And then all I really needed was like some like inner child within me to be like, let's go fly a kite. And I haven't done that, but I've
I mean,
eaten
I
a lot
think
more sweets. So
I feel like what I just took from what you said is that we need to go and fly a kite.
we should make some. We should try and do that out of like
Like a kite.
newspaper. I don't know how well it's gonna like
I-
fare
yeah,
against the Scottish weather.
I don't think it will fare at
mid
all.
to late November, but it'll be fine.
So, where do we want to start on this? I'll be honest, I'm kind of I was gonna say impartial, but I'm pretty sure that's not what I mean at all. I'm very biased.
That's complete off. Well, not opposite, but like it is.
Impartiality is not having a bias.
It's
so.
completely not what you meant.
Don't you just love saying words in English and realizing, oh, that's not the word I meant at all?
I think it's
Complete
just
other
like
side of it.
speaking without saying.
Yeah.
Wait, what? No, speaking without
speaking
thinking.
without thinking.
Wow. Oh, we're off to a great start here. Welcome to the It's Not Always Dark podcast, where things make sense.
So Bratz dolls, they
Oh.
define me. Honest to God, I would
believe
not
that.
be the person I am today without having owned. I want to make a ballpark estimate and say I at least in my lifetime have owned over 200 Bratz dolls.
Stop. I think I maybe had like 3.
you're like, I got a couple. No, the thing was that a lot of them ended up. I mean, if like the Bratz investigation team are listening to this, they went to a farm far away. But quite honestly, I would get on like the trampoline with my Bratz, and their necks were plastic. So if they landed wrong.
This really, like, you're giving me the boy from Toy Story vibes. Where, like, you're, like, mutating...
I'm like Sid.
You just had this, like, really creepy room full of, like, botched
Doll
dolls.
heads.
Yeah.
No, I swear to God, I wasn't creepy about it. I was always so heartbroken when one of them, like, passed. I remember specifically... One of the ones that triggered me as a child was Bratz Rock Angels. I had a Jade doll. I loved her so much, and I only had her for like a day because my mum, like, she came like back from the shops. Like, I remember being called on the house phone, and she was asking me which one I wanted, and I was like, Jade. Jade was always the pick for me. She's a queen. I don't know what it is. She was the one I
was
always
a
seemed to side
Yasmin
with.
girl.
Yasmin, she was always there, but she wasn't my fave. I think my favorites were Jade and Sasha. I could never fucking find Sasha. Ju- Just
I
side
mean,
topic. Did you know that I found this out in later years is that the reason why oftentimes you'll see one like character in like a lineup of toys. It was on that documentary, you know, the one the toys we had as kids, like on Netflix.
yeah, they
So
had
I'm
like the
pretty
Lego
sure it was
episode
on
and stuff.
the
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure it was
and the
on one of the
Barbie
ones where
one.
they went over probably the Barbie one, but they were talking about how they used to ship them out. And the fact of the matter was is that I'm pretty sure in the case of the Bratz, like Sasha would not be sent out with the other three. So so naturally there was just less of her to have. And that
That is
is
some
racist.
Jim
That is
Crow shit right
racist.
there.
Honest to God. I only really wanted Sasha ones growing up. I could never find them because they didn't have them in the shops. And this was before the times where you could just hop on Amazon and be like, I want this tomorrow. So it was a big deal when I got that Jade doll and that same evening I took her on the trampoline and snapped her neck and then I just had to like look at her and I came back in with like the remains in my hands like I'd found like a dead animal. I was like, help. And my mum just looked at me and went, I'm not buying a new one.
I just like want to know like why they had to be on the trampoline. Like that's
They had
my
to.
big
I was like
question is like I don't remember ever having a doll and being like, I really wish there was a trampoline here right now.
honest to God, the trampoline in my back garden was massive when uh we lived in Falthouse at the time, so like the trampoline was huge. Um I would
Humble
be on
brags.
it. I mean, yeah, it was what it was. I don't have it anymore, so I'm okay to talk about it then. But basically that trampoline I would be on it like basically all day. The whole point of it was is that I was on that trampoline more than I could possibly put into words. I would wrestle with friends on it. I would
Oh,
play with my Bratz doll. I'd wrestle like a massive Winnie the Pooh bear because I loved growing up. I liked watching the WWE, the
didn't we all?
Divas. Oh,
Oh,
the
of course.
Divas were a moment.
Oh, I didn't really see the Divas. I had a little. I only really experienced WWE through my little brother, but I'm
Oh,
familiar with the main characters. We
the
watched it
divas
every
of
Sunday.
oh yeah, it was a thing that I feel like some people did as like a weekly process. I think I only started watching it like I'd say toward the later years of childhood, but still before like age 12. Because the figures were quite like a big deal as well. We'd collect them and then we'd go into school and try and like swap figures with each other.
Did they
But
have
I
like
was
cards?
always
I feel like they had cards.
I'd say so. I don't really recall collecting any of those cards, but I think they must have because
Mm,
it's a brand and they go into every avenue they can get that money out of
that coin.
that coin. But I remember I would go into like school and try to trade like I would have bought like a male figure and try to trade for the diva. What toys was it when you were younger? Like what ones really spoke with to you?
So I wasn't really like a big doll gal.
Interesting.
I mean,
You weren't one of the dolls.
very much. I think the way I am now is
Mhm.
completely like I've not really changed much as a person. So I had like a little karaoke machine.
Yeah, you've
Um,
not changed at all if that is the
no,
thing that you had in childhood.
I had a karaoke machine. And then like loads of crafting things.
Oh, so she was
Um,
artsy.
yeah, I had like a badge maker. I think everyone had that badge maker
I
that
didn't.
you like twisted the top down. It
I
was
remember the advert.
like anything that there was like an advert for that was some sort of craft, like a bedazzling thing. There was the chocolate coin maker that I never ever got, but was
I
fascinated
remember watching
by.
that. I remember watching that
Um,
a lot.
I remember every year I would ask for a candy floss maker, and I never ever got
Huh.
it. So like one day when I'm a
Oh.
big girl, I'm gonna buy myself one and like rot my teeth.
We're still waiting
We're still
on
waiting.
the we're still
We're back
waiting.
on furlough. We can't afford that shit right
No,
now.
that so
Um,
we don't have to scale back.
but one thing I had like noted
Mm-hmm.
was that like as much as I didn't really play with dolls that much, I always like
Mm-hmm.
laid them out on the floor and taught them. Like I loved playing teacher just by myself with my dolls, which is just like was she a bossy, creative singing queen from the start? Yes, like how things were going, like how
I
things were, how
love
things
it.
are going, the same image.
Do you know what you've just told me though? You told me that at a young age you had an aspiration to sing. You were willing to put work in on crafting to like make a good product, and you had leadership skills. You've been on the ball from a young age in my
Do you want to like
eyes.
rewrite my CV for me?
I'm here.
Please.
Yeah, please. A s- Real like side note here. A CV is literally just how well you can bullshit yourself into a position. And I wish we didn't have to do them. I wish you
No.
didn't.
The thing is, like, my CV's like weirdly long. Like, I've had like a weird amount of jobs for someone my age, and that's like
Hmm.
that's an episode for another day because
Yeah,
it's
just
it's a
going
going
over your
ongoing joke
history.
with people that I meet, and I start talking about like all the jobs that I've had, and they're like, where did you even get like recruited for that? Like, how did
Yeah,
you
like
come across?
if next week you were to message me and say like I'm no longer working where I'm working, I've moved on to work on the shipyards, I'd be like, yep, that sounds about like
That makes
Erin.
sense. Yeah. No, but one thing that I also did note was the little things that would leave you amused for hours as a child.
Uh-huh.
Mainly like party bag tat. Like the
Love
little
that.
like the slinkies that you would get,
Ah,
like the whistles,
did
like
you
the
ever get like the
hooters,
putty or
all
like
the
the
putty,
the
those little alien
putty?
things.
Yes. Did you ever try and get them pregnant? Did you ever try and get them pregnant?
I just didn't understand it. And I mean clearly it was never gonna happen, was it?
No,
Like
it wasn't going to happen, but you could not have told me at a younger age that I could not have got this little bit of like sticky alien gel substance pregnant. I was like, you're gonna have babies and I'm gonna play with
and I remember like mums up and down the nation just being terrified about the slime that was about to get like rubbed into the carpet. Like
the carpet. Oh,
everybody like
that's fun that you think it was the carpet that was the concern. In my household, my mum was so angry at me because I would stick it on the ceiling and it would leave a mark
oh,
and mess up her painting.
that happened in like, I mean not child, well I guess still childhood, but like my
Hmm.
higher English class, higher history class, like one of
Yeah.
it was like we had classes with the year above us, so like people were like trying to act cool, and then they threw one of those
Yeah.
alien things onto because for some reason someone still had them when we were like 15.
You know, nothing quite screams I'm cool like bringing your alien
It was me. No,
gel
I'm
to
just.
school.
It wasn't. I was uncool for many other ways, but
Yeah, we all I had enough going on. I didn't need to bring aliens to try and bring my social
I didn't need
status
props.
down.
Like it was.
I am the prop.
I am. But like they like threw it and it got stuck to the ceiling and it was there and it was there for like a couple days. Like it really like clung on there. And then
Yeah.
like one day obviously it must have just like fallen off, but like left a massive stain in the because it was like
Yes, it does though. And
yeah.
that's why I wasn't allowed to have them in the house. So thanks, alien
You
people,
had a
for
kennel for
making
them. Like
every night before bed, I'd walk outside and I would put all my alien babies into their kennel. I'd tuck them all in, then I'd go to bed. That's exactly how that went, Erin.
that's believable. That is
Also, like saying it out loud, I thought it would have sounded so far fetched that everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, that's clearly a joke." But also, I could see it for me.
yeah. Like given that you've just told us that the Bratz dolls had to be on the trampoline.
Don't and had their own like Valley of the Dead.
Yeah, well the fact
Do you
that
know,
you had possibly 200.
they didn't all make it though. This is just I'm estimating the 200 and
Yeah,
like
no, that's what I
they would
mean.
have
But
been
like,
cut out of the lineup.
did you have like a burial ground? Like, is there like
The
someone is gonna
bin.
like dig up your old garden and
No, they
just
all got
find like a
disposed of
pile of
individually.
plastic?
I want to see like okay, hear me out. I'm pitching a product here.
Mhm.
So Barbie NCIS, but she's investigating the deaths of over 200 Bratz dolls. I'm the suspect.
The crossover we didn't know we needed.
Who are you? Who? Um, are there any other toys that spoke to you? Because I have like two others that I really wanted to speak on,
Um,
but they
there wasn't really anything like super came to mind. I was very active. Like I was very into like costumes and I was doing all the dance routines. Like
Work.
I had like a lot of CDs that are I think more iconic to me than toys, but I think that says a lot
Mhm.
about
Like what
yeah.
shaped you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I only wrote down alongside it. I really loved Lego, and I also really loved like the Sylvanian families.
I
They
never had
were
Sylvanian families.
like I didn't have many. I just really liked them. They were little like animal creatures, like that made up a family, and they like wore cute outfits. I was like, yeah, of course I'm interested in this. This is cute aesthetic. And to this day, there's like, did you know there's like a subculture on Twitter where, I mean, I'm sure you could say this for literally anything that we talk about, but there's like a full subculture on Twitter about like Sylvanian family stands. Like, there's stands on Twitter
The thing is,
where,
I kind of thought like I mean this with no disrespect to you or to Sylvanian
of
families, but
course.
like when I was a kid, I kind of thought Sylvanian families were for like old people,
No,
like,
no, I understand.
and I think it's because they have a very like
They look
country
statuesque.
village, like very
Mm.
like I feel like they weren't to be played with, really.
Yeah, they
Like they're
looked like they were proposing.
like the people that I think I knew that like collected Sylvanian families.
Mm-hmm.
It was very much their mum or
Mm-hmm.
like their parent figure
Mm-hmm.
that really wanted it, and they just happened to be like the like in quotations like owner of the dolls, like because there was some people
I
honestly that
do
had
that
like
with kids.
that had doll houses that I was like, that's like
Yeah.
the size of my bed. It was they were massive, but then I just
What a
didn't really.
great way to like get back into childhood in some sense though. Like you have a child and you're like, you're gonna buy these things. Oh, you want this, right? You want this. You want this this 3 foot tall Barbie mansion. Like this is for you. They
I
come in the
mean,
middle of the night and the mum's just like
if that's not me, honestly.
um
Cut to like 10 to 15 years in the future, and I'm just like, and hitting up Toys R Us. Are Toys R Us still a thing?
I think they maybe all closed down.
Well,
I guess
whatever the
the ones in
equivalent of Toys R
Scotland I
Us are
think
now.
closed down.
Do you know what? Let's talk about that because Toys R Us was a big. That
Oh,
was
a
a big day out.
huge trip. Oh, it really was. Because, like, the closest one to us was in Livingston, so we would have to, like, drive through there. And that wasn't, like, a huge drive, but it was still, like, out of the way.
Yeah,
So you'd never just casually be going by Toys R Us. You had to, like, go to Toys R Us.
yeah. My Toys R Us was. Have you been to the fort in
Yeah, yeah,
Edinburgh?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Um,
one where,
you know
yeah,
where the
I know the one.
you know where the Primark is now.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be a massive Toys R Us. Like it
I
was
feel like I
like
went to it
huge,
once.
and that was like the best day out. And you would always be like, there was always a tantrum because you
Oh,
wanted
yes.
everything in the shop,
Yes, you did.
especially those like cars, like the cars for kids.
Yeah. I feel like I would just like to make a general PSA that if you were a child that didn't kind of throw a bit of a tantrum or like a hissy fit upon not getting like everything in a Toys R Us, did you really want to be there? Because we were just I feel like we were very committed and we wanted it all. Can we be blamed for that?
I mean, that's honestly me now when I like want to go shopping, but then see my bank account and I'm like, oh, I just
Because
have to
that's
do
the
it
thing
more
is
privately.
yeah, it's like an internalized thing now. I only remember going to that one Toys R Us at the fort to pick up. I think I was playing Club Penguin at the time, so I like
Wow.
went to buy one of the little plushies of like the Puffles, so I could have one in
Oh
the
my
game.
gosh.
It was a moment. It was
That's.
cute.
I was about to say, no, like remember like when you would get invited to like kids' parties and stuff,
Yes,
and it would
big
always be
deal.
like a disco at the local leisure centre, but it was
For
like
us, it was in like a miners club.
yeah, or like whatever the equivalent is. Like
Uh-huh.
we're hitting up Mayfield Leisure Centre, like rest in pieces. It's no longer there.
Is it
Um,
not?
no,
Oh, rest
got
in
knocked down.
peace. Rest in power.
No, that's like they're making them all into like campuses now. So like there's maybe
Okay.
like one leisure centre for like a whole
Hmm.
town rather than having like one in each like little sub town.
Yes.
But yeah, like, you would rock up, you would have your fancy dress on,
Oh, you'd have the best gear.
but then you would have to get like a present. And I'm like, I dread the day
Yeah,
that
I
I have
remember
to
the
like buy
present.
presents for children that I straight up don't like.
Yeah.
Because you like when you're in primary school, like say you're like in a class of like 20, 25 people to
Uh-huh.
30 people, Like,
Yeah.
if you got invited to like 2/3 of that birthday parties, like that's a lot of money on kids that you probably don't even like.
Very that. I mean, I was always quite grateful in the sense that like I did attend like a couple of the parties as a kid, but overall I wasn't really like great friends with a lot of people to be invited to some stuff like that. And I feel like at the time I remember being like, "Oh, that sucked. Why wasn't I invited?" Upon looking back on it, I saved some money. I'm not mad about that.
Mm.
So like I virtually speak to a couple of people from that place. Why would I want to have done all that effort for people that I don't have any contact with?
But then there was also like people from like clubs and stuff that you went to, and
Mm-hmm. Yes. What kind of clubs did you do? Because I know you're very like she's a dancer. She's
I was a
a theater
dancer.
a queen.
Um, I didn't think it's like I didn't even really do theater until like high school.
Oh,
Like,
okay. So that was later on.
yeah. So I started off. I did jazz and tap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cute. I used to go about in my tap shoes at home and pretend. Remember, Come Outside with
Yes, yes,
like that
yes.
lady in
The
Pip and the
plane.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, like and like obviously like, she had like her little like old lady biscuit basket heels.
Yeah, yeah, she did.
And so
The
that's like,
chunky
but
debbies.
that's kind of what like kids tap shoes looked like. So I used to like run around the kitchen pretending that I was
You were
her,
her? That is so cute.
like me pretending to be an old lady as a 4-year-old slash 5-year-old. I'm sure was some comedy because it's too much. But yeah, so I did like jazz and tap, and
Mhm.
then I begged, like I really wanted to do ballet, but I didn't actually start ballet until I was like 7, which is
Right,
like
okay.
7 or 8, which is actually like borderline like almost kind of too late
Yeah, you have to
because
start early in ballet.
you gotta like yeah,
They
and so
want the
like
child fresh from the womb so they can shape those feet
yeah, well
like
it's just like
feet to be
such like
on point.
unnatural shapings. Like
Yeah,
and then like when like now that I'm like older, like I know like, I have like flat feet. Like
yeah.
these hoofs were never meant to be in point shoes. Like she does not have the arches. Um so like I was never particularly like good at ballet, but like I was
Hmm.
very much the person that showed up and gave 110% every week. So like to the extent like I remember this being called out
Mhm.
because you know there was the people that were like always just like naturally good at stuff. I've never been
Yeah.
someone that's just like naturally good at stuff.
No, it's always a process of having to work a bit at it for me.
So that was I remember my ballet teacher once like who I was like terrified of was
Hmm.
like she like was calling people out for not putting any effort and she was like Erin comes every week and she gives it stacks and I was like
She.
and you could tell that there was a butt coming. I was like I'll take that. Like I'll
She's like,
take what I can
you know
get.
what, guys? You may all be flawlessly executing this routine with precision, but Erin came here today. So
Erin,
everyone, let's give Erin a round of applause. Come on.
that's such just the way that my life has gone. But then I was always like better at like jazz and then like acting through dance. And that's like
Yes.
so I've never really done like acting lessons in any form, but
Uh-huh.
then the dance school that I moved to was more of a like musical theatre slash dance school, so there was always like
Uh-huh.
dancing and singing together and it just evolved into me doing shows. I did like the school shows and stuff and
Hmm.
here I am now.
Were there any like major starring roles for you at a young age? Like, did you have any big like nativities or
Oh,
like?
my first nativity. This is like
Hmm.
a big. Like, I still remember my line. I was an angel,
Of course.
little primary one,
Look
Erin.
at you. Of course you were.
Naturally, it was like the angels. Like we were on the stage talking. I say talking. I was just stood there, um,
Just doing angel stuff.
just being an angel, and like the scene was like them talking about going to go to the birth of Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh.
And my line was, I hope I get a party bag. You know,
I mean,
yeah.
roll the tapes. Did she not already state the party back? I'm now convinced that your sole purpose on this planet is to be an angel who wants a party back.
Honestly, I think that was like my peak. Like that was in the roles that I've had since. I don't think I've been as well suited as Angel
my
requesting
my
party
biggest
bag.
starring role in a nativity was Joseph. I
Oh my
was
goodness!
father of the. And I think it was because I might have been slightly taller than this kid, but I was in primary like I was young. I was primary like 2 or 1.
Mm.
So they wanted someone fresh for the role, someone that could add a little bit of perspective, and I'd like to openly state that I am one of few children that attended a school that got to play gay Joseph. I mean, isn't it like Joseph in his Technicolor Dreamcoat?
Yeah.
I'm just saying he has
I
a
close
Technicolor
my
Dreamcoat.
eyes. Well, I'm very familiar with the soundtrack.
We have time to fill in on those things though.
Yeah,
Um,
that'll be
that'll be a
the.
thing.
I'll teach you. I'll
Okay,
teach you
okay.
musicals.
For me, for clubs and hobbies and stuff that I did at a
Yeah.
younger age, I think the first club I ever did was like I went to a swim club.
Oh,
I
I did that too.
also I did like taekwondo. It was very fun. Great way to get some of that aggression out as a child.
Like I could
Uh,
just like I have what I think you look because I had never seen like pictures of you as a kid. So
I
like
need to show pictures. Oh,
I have like what I think you look like in a little tiny taekwondo outfit. Like
tiny.
you well, you were always probably quite
Yeah,
tall.
it was. I
But
would
like
say
gangly, like
that.
when a puppy hasn't grown into its legs yet and it's just like
Uh,
sort of
uh I think everyone at a young age that put on a taekwondo outfit like just looked like we were ridiculous because it wouldn't fit us properly.
yeah.
Because there's just a lot of material going on for not a big enough body for the material.
Yeah.
I look the exact same growing up. I don't think my face has changed at all.
Neither is mine.
I have literally just changed hairstyle.
I've reverted back to like this is the hairstyle that I had when I was a kid, like full front fringe and then medium hair length.
Medium hair. Why do you
So
describe
basic.
your haircut like you're in the character customization screen?
No, well, I used to have a bob, you see, and
I
it's grown
love that
out.
for you.
It was
Look
a
at
fun time, but I just kind of want long hair again so that I feel a bit more like youthful.
Yeah, I feel like I would feel the same if I was able to grow hair that long. My hair's on a longer side for like the guys, but even then I wouldn't say my hair's long. It's just there's a lot of it. We'll go with that.
Luscious locks. So you did your taekwondo.
I did my taekwondo. I mean I also went to like a wee drama type like musical theater thing for I would say it maybe lasted less than like half a year. I was there long enough to partake in a performance, but that was like later on in life. Like
What
this
was
is
the
more towards
performance?
12. So it was an original piece made by the people who like ran uh I'm trying to like actually figure out a way to describe it, but I remember I think I sang Jump, like might as well jump. And it was some sort of like I think I was a coach of some form. I really couldn't tell you the story because I don't think no tea, no shade. I don't think they knew what the story was either. But it
Oh,
was funny. I'll give them
yeah.
that. It was a funny time to be in musical theater.
When did like film come into your life? Like, what was that?
Film has always just been part of my life. Like I feel like most of us we consume media, but I like really spent a lot of more time with just consuming media because I'd go outside of the house and I'd play with friends and stuff. But as I started to get, I'd want to say around like 9, 10, like I really like found comfort in being indoors more and like watching stuff and consuming content and then eventually going back outside. But I'd say right there's 2 stages of my life. There was before isolating in TV and there was now, which has always been isolating in TV. Because it's
Yeah.
just so fun to consume other people's content, but I think that I sometimes like struggle with the balance of consuming content and creating content because I want
Yeah.
to create a lot of content, but I always like get caught up in what I'm watching, which is someone else make their content.
Yeah.
Content.
Sorry, what was
But
that?
I'm quite content with it all. Overall, though, I would say like it was thanks to stuff like I'd used to watch. Like I watched all the kids' channels as growing up. I was like
Yeah.
CBBC, CBeebies, CITV, STV Kids, Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Boomerang. Like
Jeez.
she was a consumer.
I was the same, to be fair. What are some like iconic TV shows that like you couldn't live without? Because I have a few that I think
I mean, I
really.
think that a lot of the Disney ones really stuck with me. Like, I wouldn't really be like Hannah Montana was a huge TV
Hannah
series for
Montana
me,
was massive,
and like
especially for
anyone that
our
wants
age
to
group
act
as
like,
well.
yeah, I think that people in our age group might like laugh at like oh Hannah Montana, haha, but they were seeing it too. Even the
Yeah,
straight boys, they were watching Hannah Montana, and they can try and deny it, but when Miley Cyrus made like a big turn in her music career and those views came in, they knew what they were watching. They came along because they'd seen her before and they wanted to see what she was doing now. I think it's just a
honestly,
testament to her,
all of us
the way
listening
she
to Seven
captured
Things I Hate
us.
About You,
Oh
like
my god,
being
what a
like
song!
10 years old and be like crying about heartbreak. The seventh
Also,
thing
I
I
don't
hate
even
the
know if
most that you do, the way
you
you make
make
me
me
love
love
you.
you. Like, oh,
Iconic line. But also, was that like when did the film 10 Things I Hate About You come out? Because like was that meant to be like the same
unrelated.
thing?
Unrelated.
Oh,
I think I thought similarly to start with because I think the first thing I heard of Seven Things was like, oh, maybe this is like a Miley Cyrus like movie, but it's not. It's nothing to do with her. The song is unrelated to. They just happened to. She was like, oh, I'm gonna give you the short list. Here's seven instead.
but then like to be fair, any song off of Hannah Montana, like there
hmm
I'm like unashamed to say, like you know how like Spotify hits you with those like on repeat playlists that are like the thing that
Yes.
exposes you for like what you've
Oh,
been listening to. Like
please tell me the Hannah Montana songs on your on repeat
I
playlist.
have If We Were a Movie on my repeat playlist, like and
That
it's
was
like
such a good song, though.
that's my like cry song. That's my like I'm so alone song.
I remember going through at a young age. Whenever, what was the song? You know the one that I miss you, I miss your smile, and I shed a tear every once in a that one.
I don't
That
know
song,
that one.
I think it was a song that they like had her write on the show, like about her mum. So I remember
Oh
like
my
going through
gosh.
to my mum, and this is if you ever want like an example of me just trying to be a little attention seeking and also a complete liar. I I had like written down the lyrics on like a notepad. I came through to my mum and I tried to convince my mother that I wrote this song in memory of like my uncle who had passed like way years before and I never really knew
Kieran!
him. I know. Like what was I thinking?
So bad.
It's so bad. I basically was trying to like I was copyright infringing Miley Cyrus. Oh
Oh.
my god,
To be fair
clickbait
though, like
title.
I was like writing songs at that point.
That's fair. I never thought about music in that sense. I'd always liked music. I just was like, this is now I'm gonna say this is me. My mum didn't believe me. I should say that the
No.
lies start that it started and ended with me.
Yeah.
Like this was not something that was able to be dragged out. Did you ever just like look into childhood and think about some of the things that you completely lied about just because you
Oh,
could?
I used to tell people I was getting a dog like every week, and then I'd never like I like every weekend I'd be like I'm getting a dog this weekend, and I can like imagine like my teacher like being like no you're not like
Just like, listen, you little bitch, you're
I
not
was
getting a
scared of
dog.
dogs at that time. Like I had to cross the street because I was scared of dogs, and every weekend I would like be like I'm getting a dog this weekend.
You're shit scared of dogs, and you're like, this is the week I'm getting a dog, guys. I'm getting one.
Yeah, and like I would like feel like, but like people would believe me as well. So that says something about how stupid kids are. Like,
Yeah, we're all dumb. I think we all believed everything we all said for at least like a few years. Because
yeah,
I swear, I think I still have like some deep rooted like trust issues because of children lying to me and making me think that this was reality.
kids
Um,
going about with those sticker earrings on, being like, "I got my ears pierced this
is
weekend."
pierced.
Me. And it would get to like halfway
I'm.
through the
It's
day,
me.
and it would be
I'm
like
kids.
it would be like on your face because you'd like rested your hand on it.
So funny. Yeah, but I think we've come like quite full circle with that copyright discussion because I think I owe Miley Cyrus some money.
I feel like I owe Miley
I'll get in
Cyrus a lot.
touch.
Do
I'll drop her a message. You know how close we are.
yeah.
Best
I think
pals.
she'd appreciate it. You've just not heard from me in a while.
I know.
No, but to be fair, like kids TV, like I was a big. We didn't really have Disney Channel. I like
Okay.
consumed Hannah Montana through DVDs and CDs at that point.
Fascinating. I was on Sky. Like that was who we were with. The
We didn't.
broadcasting.
We were a Freeview household for
Oh,
like a
work.
long time. Yeah. So like I didn't. So like when you're talking about like Nickelodeon and stuff, like that was maybe when I was
Yeah.
about like 9 or 10. We got
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it was later for me too. I didn't really watch much on Nickelodeon except for like was SpongeBob? No,
Drake and
SpongeBob wasn't on
Josh,
that.
iCarly, that was
Yes,
all.
Drake and Josh and iCarly, the two that immediately come to mind. And then in later, like
Victorious.
right before like I sort of came out of watching as much of Nickelodeon as I could. Victorious was maybe the last series on it that I
Yeah.
was like, this is a big deal.
But
Um,
then like CBBC, we had some absolute hits. I just want to
some
come
amazing
out here and
shows.
like just project my
Advocate for them.
gratitude for Tracy Beaker. Like
Tracy motherfucking Beaker.
like Jacqueline Wilson and like I was a big reader. I should have said that actually. Like
I
I
have a little section written down about Jacqueline Wilson as well, and do you know it's really funny to me that I completely forgot to make the connection between Jacqueline Wilson, the author, and Jacqueline Wilson, the one that inspired Tracy Beaker by writing the Tracy Beaker series. I was like the TV series Tracy Beaker, and also this incredible author. Anyway, I really liked Tracy Beaker growing up. I think to this day, my flatmate and I will still look at each other and go, Justine Littlewood.
no like bog off. Like
I never
anytime
watched Bog Off.
that's a Tracy Beaker quote, babe.
What?
Bog off.
That's a quote from Tracy Beaker. I thought it was a TV series. I
I
thought
don't
you
know
were
what
literally
you
moving
mean.
us on to a new topic. You were like, and the show Bog Off. I was
No.
like, I've never seen that. Please tell more.
No, she would tell people to bog off.
Fake fan right here.
Honestly.
I'm
And
so
then
embarrassed right now.
anytime like she was crying, she'd be like, "What? It's just hay fever." And like I do the same. Like I feel like if you don't say it, it's
highlight-
just hay fever.
The highlights of Tracy Beaker that come to my mind immediately are her mother, like claiming that her mother was a really famous person, but she didn't really
That's
have.
such a kid lie. I love it.
But I mean, talking about like I'm getting a dog this weekend. She was like, I'm seeing my mum this weekend all the time.
Kieran.
I always think
I
about.
don't know if we can joke about that.
Oh
Her never seeing her mum because she was
no, because she was. She had a happy ending. Like she
her and
came. Like
Cam.
she. Yeah. I'm so sorry to anyone that may have found that offensive, but also I'm talking about the fictional character Tracy Beaker. Separate yourself a wee bit. But Tracy Beaker, I always remembered, yeah, her like talking about going to meet her mum. I remember there was like an episode where they decided they were gonna like steal like tuck shop goods and sell it themselves.
Oh my god. I have
What
no
other?
recollection of that.
See, I think this is one of these things because I don't know if I've ever seen every episode of Tracy Beaker. I've just seen
No.
what I watched on CBBC when it was
Yeah.
on, and that wasn't all the time.
I mean, key characters include Tracy Beaker,
Yeah.
Elaine the Pain,
Elaine the Pain,
Mike,
Duke.
the social worker guy, Duke, and then the
Um,
other lady, I can't remember her name,
Oh shit!
the other social worker, Angela.
Yes, I want to say it's Angela. She's very pretty.
And then there were like the other kids. We had the
They
Wellards.
rotated. Mm-hmm.
There was like two boys that were brothers that moved to a
There
halfway house
was
at one point.
Yeah, there was the icon Justine Littlewood. She
Justine
wore
Little.
designer clothing. Basically Justine's whole role in the show was just to be everything that Tracy Beaker said that she was, I think.
Yeah.
But like also she didn't have it easy either.
But then like
'Cause
Justine still had a relationship with her dad. And that
yeah.
like one episode that sticks in my mind is the one where it's her dad's wedding.
Uh-huh.
And Tracy goes to like help her, like her dress is horrible. And like
Yeah.
in a moment of like reconciliation, Tracy helps her like cut her dress. She's like Tracy's making up lies about how her mum used to help her do her costuming or whatever, and she's like
Yeah.
ripping like sheets of his dress. Like, oh,
And then there were some other characters, but like overall, those were like Tracy Baker's the main one that
The
I think
dumping
stayed for all of
ground.
them. The dumping
That's the
ground
place
is a
to go.
character. It's like
Um,
the character that everyone was interacting with at all times because what an environment.
yeah, and then there's this other like realm of TV that's kids reality TV shows, kids
Yes.
reality TV game shows.
Like
And
Raven.
this doesn't happen in adult TV, where
Mhm.
it's like if you lose, the child is gone forever. Like no one's like finishing an episode of The Chase and thinking that the chaser has like actually engulfed the participant and they're gone for all eternity.
No, but on Raven, man, the second one of those kids dropped, I felt my like heart drop out my ass. I was like,
Like
they're
those
gone. They're gone.
horrible,
Are we gonna do
scary
something
things
about
with
this?
the brown hoods, like that were
Just
essentially like dementors of the Raven
yeah.
realm.
And they just took them away. And
Yeah.
I did assume that those children were dead.
Yeah.
I was like, they're gone.
There was also Trapped.
Yes.
Where
That's the
you
one in like the
believe
big
that-
tower.
Yeah, the children were stuck in that tower for all
Yeah.
eternity. And then also Jungle Run, where they would
Jungle
get
Run.
caught in the temple at the end.
Oh my god. Jungle Run. Okay. When you said Jungle Run, couldn't think of it. I was thinking of the app.
I could
but
tell you just replaced it back to me there. You were just like, Jungle Run? Mhm.
Erin's pointed out this thing that I do to her when I don't have a clue what she's talking about. I will specifically state what point she lost me in hopes that it'll jog her memory enough to like come back to it. No, I remember the jungle. I don't even remember it was called that, but it was like there was like monkey statues they were trying to get.
And then there were gold
golden
statues.
monkey.
But then if you were doing the because it was like a series of tasks leading up to
Yes.
the big temple run at the end, right?
Yes.
So like they would have to, and the amount of statues that they collected throughout their time leading up to the temple run would be like the amount of time that they got to do the temple run.
Yes.
And then there was like, so these gold statues were like, say like 10 seconds, and then there was like the ruby monkey. If they found the ruby monkey,
Oh
they
girl,
got
you're
like
balling.
they got like 30 seconds or whatever.
Mhm.
But and then they had to go run all. It was like Indiana Jones. They had to go
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
way like through the mouth of the temple was like this monkey's belly that like
Yeah.
rotated up, and then like you would see them get like swallowed by it if
Yeah.
they didn't make it out in time. And I was like, wow,
They're gone.
oh, the drama. I've not felt such acceleration in a long time.
Other shows that are very like on par with this Jungle Run that we're talking about. There was like I used to watch, even though it's not like kids TV, I used to watch like Crystal Maze and things like Takeshi's Castle quite a lot because
Yeah.
I was really into game shows. I
I
always
loved
found
a
them
bit of
very
Total
fun.
Wipeout.
Yeah, like they're fun. The reason we like to watch these things is because they're just people like you and I in a situation that's been like made up for them to have fun with.
Also, it's just like seeing people fail, like physical comedy
It does.
is
It still
provided
hits.
in ways. Yeah.
Like if I see someone fall to this day, I will still try and stop myself giggling, and I'd hope that people do the exact same thing for me. They do.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'd be lying if I said like I wasn't like out for coffee, and like every time you're out for coffee, a kid will dick it, regardless of
Oh
where you are,
yes.
and it's always funny,
It
but it's
is.
always inappropriate to laugh.
A child
So you have
has
to,
dicked
like-
it in front of us on our way to get coffee, and I have laughed at said child.
But then you can't make eye contact with the person
No.
you're with because you know that if that happens, like
You're both pissing yourself.
you're gonna
laughing.
like cackle. Yeah.
You're gonna get the witch cackle in there.
Honestly, if like I feel like honestly, if I was in the Good Place, like, on the TV show The Good Place, I certainly wouldn't be
Yes.
in the Good Place because I'm losing points
No.
left, right, and center for laughing at
Like straight
kids
up
falling
bad
over.
place immediately. I'd love to be able to figure out a way to get in that medium place though. That feels like life.
The
I
medium
don't
place is lockdown. That is
basically like it's a slightly discomforting lockdown scenario where everything that you would like try and use as a crutch to get through it is now just like her favorite beer's there, but it's lukewarm, you know? Like
yeah, and not that she can only have like one TV show, so it's almost like a lockdown where the government didn't support the arts at all, and no new media and content could get made.
so
So like they only have like this one thing to watch forever. So
like
weird, right?
possibly like a future coming to you soon. Don't joke about that.
Like it's funny, right? It's funny.
It's funny. If we laugh, it's funny. Going back though to Jacqueline Wilson, so I only really read the How to Survive Summer book. I would say separate from like having read a bit of Tracy Beaker. Those were the only books that I've heard that I really read. Um, I really enjoyed.
Well, I went in I really went in on the Jacqueline Wilson books. Like I
Okay.
read many. I was a frequenter of the local library.
Oh, she made her way. She made the rounds.
Yeah,
I
she
like
definitely
Jacqueline
did.
Wilson, but I was always more of a Roald Dahl person for like if you wanted me to
Oh
consume all
yeah,
of their content. I Roald Dahl holds a strong place in my heart because
yeah.
those are just my childhood stories. Did you have a favorite Roald Dahl book?
I really liked George's Marvelous Medicine, and I really liked James and the Giant Peach, and the BFG.
Those are, I mean, okay, love the BFG with you on that one. For me, my favorites were Fantastic Mr. Fox. I always liked the idea of like a highly planned out robbery.
I liked it. I read that in like primary three, like with the class.
hmm
But I
Yeah.
was like, I'm terrified of foxes.
Oh, bless. I see a lot of foxes these days.
I mean, not really anymore, but like I had a book when I was a
Mm.
kid that had like a very like
Angry
like
fox.
they're portrayed as being quite sly. I mean, sly and
Sly. I
evil.
mean, swiper
So
no swiping from Dora.
yeah, so like I was just like scared of them. But like that book, I will happily like hands up say even like, and I like the Wes Anderson adaptation of it as well.
Yes, yes. I liked Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I mean, like Charlie and or Willy Wonka and whatever which you prefer, like the Chocolate Factory. I
The
was into
Chocolate
it.
Factory. I
I
loved that.
mean,
I loved that film. I loved the Sorry, I'm like such a like adaptation. I really really enjoyed the Tim Burton adaptation of that, and I know like everyone hates
hmm
on it,
I
but that
don't
was
hate it.
like the
I like
film
both.
that I would watch
hmm
continuously. Like, and to this day, like see that opening sequence
Uh-huh.
gets me going. It's so
Oh, it
exciting.
gets you
Like
going.
the like it's like one of those like oddly satisfying. The songs are all
hmm
bops. Like I get that the original one is like probably most people's favorites, but like that adaptation is probably one of my favorite films of all time.
I'd like to just like go out on the record and say that I can confirm that Erin, in fact, really does have a strong place in her heart for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because she created what I would like to say is maybe the most ahead of its time rap ever. Like Erin created like Willy Wonka rapping about the children to the style of Lizzo, and I cannot quite explain how I think of my life now fully as before I discovered this piece and after. And I only want to look to the after. I don't before
I
I
feel like
know
I need to
nothing.
like I should clarify that I did my whole dissertation on writing comedy music.
hmm
And I wrote this in lockdown, and really like my brain got places. And
She went on a journey.
and it just became a point where I found myself writing a rap about, I mean, hilariously I was rapping to begin with, but
Mhm.
writing
I
a rap
loved it.
about if Mr. Wonka was a murderer, because I'd read a conspiracy theory that
Mhm.
Mr. Wonka had like planned the murder of all these children and tailored it
Yes.
specifically to their own like
Bratty behavior and how
bratty
to
behavior. Yeah.
take them out like that.
And I really just took it places, and honestly, it was like my favorite part of my dissertation. Like it's the only thing that I've
So
managed to go
fun.
back and re-listen. I wrote 6 songs, and that's the only one that I've gone back to.
I mean, all of them were really good, but nothing has left quite the impression on me like your Mr. Wonka song. Such a good song.
Get this podcast to
Other
1,000
books.
listens, and we'll release it.
Release a special edition.
Special
Um,
edition.
I didn't like. I knew a lot of different like children's books in the sense like I knew of like Cinderella and everything, but I really learned through them through Disney films. I think
Yeah,
most of us did, and then I also
100%.
learned afterward, except for Rapunzel, because they didn't have a movie out for Rapunzel when I was younger. And Rapunzel, I remember Barbie kind of got to it first, and they did like a game. I think it was a game for the Rapunzel one. I feel like I remember playing a game where I was like Barbie going about a town, but
Mhm.
um,
I mean,
were
games
there?
consoles when we were that age were also very different. Like
Yes,
I
they
was a
were.
gamer girl, and I had a Game Boy.
I don't get why it's called Game Boy. It should be called Game Boy Girl. um,
Oh, it was a
I
different
I did
time.
it was a different time, and that's time itself is so fascinating to like just talk about that I can't talk about it for too long, otherwise it starts to make me spiral a little bit.
Yeah, no, back to Barbie.
Back to
Like, get.
Barb's.
I mean, I was a massive fan of the the people that know the Barbie films. It's like a
Hmm.
cult, right? Like
I've seen
they
they're another subculture on online.
Barbie the Nutcracker is an iconic piece of cinema.
Yes.
Um Also the one where she's it's Beauty and the Beast. And
Hmm.
like the witch in it is portrayed by the woman who plays Janice in Friends.
Oh wow.
Hilarious. That's
Love
a
that for her.
realization I had as an adult that was
Hmm.
so because I definitely wasn't watching it in my early 20s. um
I think like she's like, oh, I can't do Janice's laugh, but she's just Janice talking to
she's
Barbie.
just you know who we mean.
I only remember one Barbie film, and that was the one where she has the twin sister, and they sing the "I'm just like you, you're just like me," because that became like quite a thing on Twitter for a while, at least. Like literally, whenever you did something similar to someone else, that could be used as a meme.
But I feel like that's
Um,
just such a thing with like things when we were from like when people of our generation were younger
mhm.
are so memeable
Oh,
because
very
like we have
memeable.
because they're like available as digital media, like you can take those screenshots, this that and the other,
Yeah.
and it's so easy to just chuck it up on Instagram,
Chuck it online
Twitter,
for a couple likes. I mean,
anything.
thing with those, like with that, like with those like Barbie movies, the music and that was like a big deal. But I mean, are there any songs that stand out for you, like as a child, that were like the moment? Like, what was the soundtrack to your childhood?
Let me get you started. Okay, I'm gonna like access different areas of music as a child, and you're gonna be
Okay,
like, oh, I remember that.
I'm gonna
So
get like flashbacks.
there's like you're a kid at a school disco, right? What's coming
Yes,
on? What are
I
you gonna
often
do your
was.
perform your knee slide to? Right? You've got Busted.
Okay, what?
The OG Bad Boys, the first
Yes,
Heartbreakers. Like you were
the
buying that
Heartbreakers.
those magazines that had them on them. Like we had the posters that you pull out,
Hmm.
and then like the slightly like more like good boy version of Busted was obviously McFly.
McFly, yeah.
You know, 5 colors in
I
her
like.
hair. Like there's so much home footage of me running around in a cat costume to 5 colors in her hair. Like a big moment for me. And then we had like the birth of the Pop Party CD
And the Lord
that
said on
had
the
like
seventh day,
our that's like when we had all our like Britney hits were coming out still. Kylie
thank God for
Minogue was
Britney.
like popping.
She was
Um
getting it.
We had S Club, S Club 7, S Club Juniors.
I was always more of a junior stan. Like I liked S Club 7, but that was like my sister was really into them. I didn't quite get into music around
Mm.
the same time, so it
S
was the
Club
juniors
Juniors
for
had
me.
us like one step
Step
closer to
closer to
heaven,
heaven,
one
baby means
baby makes one
one
step
step
closer.
closer to
Oh, there's
you.
such a delay. That's gonna be an
Out of
absolute
sync,
mind
out
fuck.
of tune. I like that, and they also they later the juniors became S Club 8 for a while,
I
and then
found
they
this out
released
the other
like
day.
a
Yeah,
pretty like they yeah they have like a song like I would say as like I'm going to listen to it after we're finished
after
recording.
this,
I'm going to listen to the song. It's called Sundown, and it is just a funky little groove song for the summer. If you want to feel happy, turn this
love it.
podcast off right now and
No,
listen to
don't
S Club
don't
8
leave.
Sundown.
We had Steps hitting us
Steps.
with Tragedy. I think 5, 6, 7, 8.
Tragedy, yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8 was the disco song, I would say.
It
I'd
still
be
is.
willing.
Like Catch Me in
Yeah.
Hive. I'm trying to get us
Oh,
sponsored by Hive really hard
can
right now.
Hive hit us up? Because I mean, I will constantly promote Hive.
I will
Hive is
always.
a dive 100% of the time. Well, not 100%. I'd say now they've probably switched up because of COVID guidelines. But Hive is a dive, but it's what you want. I have never
Yeah.
left Hive feeling like that was shit. I've left Hive only with good moods
Yeah, I mean, well,
or
it's like
drunk.
you know what you're getting, like,
Yeah.
and that cheesy floor. We should do an episode that's just like Hive stories. That's a
Oh,
danger
there's
talk.
some stories.
But yeah, like other
I would have had
songs
to have
of
been
that.
lucid to give you an account of many of the stories, to be fair.
No, other songs of childhood. So we've had McFly, we've had Britney.
Yes.
That's we still had like Christina Aguilera
Yeah,
giving us hits at
she was
that
doing some
point.
stuff. I remember
Anything that was
Dirty.
available on SingStar. Do you remember
Yeah.
SingStar?
I do remember SingStar. I had I think I only had the High School Musical SingStar though because
Oh,
she was
that was
very
very
into
of
High
our
School
era.
Musical.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there
We,
that was like a big defining point for us music wise, I'd say.
yeah, I think that was everyone's first like. The thing is, that was
Musical.
pretty much the original Disney movie musical of
Yeah,
that era.
I would say so.
Because like
I really would.
we had like the Cheetah Girls films,
I did love the Cheetah Girls.
but that was very like you were aware that they were stopping and performing. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
really like acting through song the same way.
Hmm.
Whereas like High School Musical
Whereas,
had a bit more of a crossover there.
yes, it did.
Oh,
I completely agree with you.
I loved High School Musical.
I feel like I still do love it, just in a different way than I did then. Other music for me growing up,
Girls
trying to think
Aloud.
of. Oh yes, the Sugar Babes. I was very influenced by the Sugar Babes at a young age. I feel like my music taste is always like to this day. I'd say my music taste sits in the cross section of like sultry, like bad girl, like
That was
lyrics.
like the Pussycat Dolls peaked at.
Oh yes, the Pussycat Dolls. All of these things, like they made up my music taste because I love like the R&B influences. I love pop.
Mhm.
I love just hypersexualization from the woman's
Rihanna was
perspective.
there.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
these songs where they're like openly just stating like push the for Sugar Babes, push the button is a song that always makes me think of like a kind of recognize like me recognizing that sex was a thing or like
Mm.
being sexual was a way of being,
Yeah.
but not in like a weird like it's not in like a weird predatory way. It's just
No,
I
I was
noticed
very
it.
unaware. I was like a very, very like
You were
um
like going in the elevator like push the button.
honestly, I was probably too old by the time. Like I was in the like preteen section before I really kind of grasped a hold on a lot of things. I was very naive. Still am.
I think that there's something nice about being a little naive. As long as it's not like intentionally being like forcing yourself to be naive, then where have you harmed someone by not knowing?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, is there any other music that really spoke to me though? Um, I mean, yeah, Hannah Montana as well, but that's just kind of a given because of the show and the impact it had.
Yeah. Well, that I feel like that was
Um,
the whole like Hannah Montana High School Musical package was all
mhm.
sort of there because that was like you had films that
Mhm.
came out after that on Disney that had that's
Yeah.
when you had like your the birth of Camp Rock was out of that.
Oh,
And then
the
like the
first one
Jonas
was okay.
Brothers career.
Second one though, yeah, really took off
The
with
Camp
Camp
Rock
Rock.
soundtrack honestly does things for me. It's so good. Like
There's some songs on Camp Rock that really spoke to me. There's some that really did not as well. I'll never be able to get over the crime of them trying to do Alison Stoner by saying like, "Oh, she's an incredible DJ," and then they showcase her like pressing a couple keys on the keyboard and like making like a
oh,
scratch
that's so
sound.
funny.
She's so good.
Her like hovering her hands over a laptop, like
Like a lot
making
of like
beats. Yeah.
movements. I do love
Oh.
that though. I can't think of like any other like major music points though.
Oh, I'm sure we're missing plenty, but then we're heading into our like teen years
Yeah,
because
we
we hit
were.
like 2008 to 2010. I think is a whole different music period that we save for another day to talk about because that was like
Yes.
the birth of
I'd argue 2008 to 2012 was where the music of that era stays
peaked.
for me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that was like music was at its peak then, and I think we're only just starting to figure out what it was that made that era peak to like bring it back a bit.
Yeah, well, that's like the Pussycat Dolls released a new single this year, and
Yeah.
that's like what we needed,
I
honestly.
completely agree. I wish they would continue to do it. Just Pussycat Dolls with buttons in general. Anything about push the button, buttons, like if the song has the word button in it, I think I'm going to like just love it unconditionally. So I issue all artists to maybe write a song about buttons. I'll be there to
I'll take
stream.
that on board. My next single. Oh,
Button.
funny. Buttons the musical by Erin. That just sounds like I've like written a whole like narrative for the side character in the Cinderella pantos. Like
The side character in what?
you know like when you go to see like Cinderella like as a panto, like there's always like
Oh
the
yes, yes,
the
yes.
side guy Buttons. I'm like it sounds like I've given him his own
Oh,
backstory
okay.
there, like Buttons the musical.
My full
It's like
backstory and
it's like
story.
it's the Wicked of Buttons. Yeah, I feel like this is a good place for us to just tie a little bow in that. There's plenty of things that we probably could go on to talk about. We've missed kids' clothes, kids'
Yeah, we missed a couple of things,
friendships.
but I mean, there's a lot more to discuss about childhood that we could do at another time. Yeah,
100%.
we'll wrap a little ribbon on it, chuck a few buttons on.
Stay tuned for part 2. I know, button yourselves up,
Um,
kids.
We'd like to thank you all so much for listening. Please
Yeah.
try and find us on any of the social media platforms that we may exist on or may not exist on by this point. And you know, we'd just like to remind you that it's not always dark at 6 o'clock. Good night.
Good night.
Good
Au
night.
revoir. Ciao. Adios.
Bonsoir.
Merci.